Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Tokarski.
And I'm Megan McGurman. Welcome to For the Love of Health, brought to you by ChristianaCare.
When you have to take your child to the hospital, it's not a good day for anyone in your family. A child life specialist can help make your experience a little more positive.
So today we've brought ChristianaCare's child life specialist to tell us more about her work here at ChristianaCare. Shannon Taylor, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Walk us through, if there is a typical day, what a typical day would look like for you as a child life specialist.
I think that's what I love about my job is there's not a typical day, but I do similarly the same type of stuff when I start off in the pediatric center. I'll look at the patients that are here on the emergency side, on the inpatient side. I will see patients for all sorts of different types of procedures, which again, why I love my job is because there's no typical day. I see kids of all ages. I see kids with different diagnoses. But at the end of the day, I'm helping the patients and families at ChristianaCare. I will sometimes be referred up to the NICU if a sibling is in the Ronald McDonald House. Sometimes I'm referred to the adult world, and that looks very different when it comes to child life because it just won't be working with kids that are sick, but maybe of their parents that are sick. So day in and day out, as like today, I was able to see a patient and help them with an IV. So I went in, prepared them. It was a 4-year-old. I got to teach them about what was going to happen during their IV. Then we created a coping plan and we were able to distract them during the IV so they didn't need people to hold them down. And afterwards he was like, I did it. And then we got to play. So every day is different. And I think that's why my job is so great.
I think there are adults listening who are probably like, oh, no, thank you. You know, they don't like IVs or needles or blood or, you know, a lot of the things that you're dealing with day to day. Is there a secret to this? You know, what are you teaching the kids that might help some adults as well?
Yeah, I wish there was a secret. And we always joke that I go to the nurses and they're like, can you help me? And I said, I'm going to try my best. I don't have fairy dust, but there are lots of things that can help everybody, even adults. So I think the world is learning every day how to cope with different things. And things like medical procedures are really hard to cope with. So teaching our kids of the things that help them through things when they're difficult. And I tell kids all the time, like my job is to help kids through hard things. We all have to do hard things throughout our lives. And medical procedures and medical things are usually the things that people are most scared of. So what can we go in knowing our choices that are appropriate? Can we sit on mom and dad's lap? Can we sit on the chair? Do we have to sit on the hospital bed? If that's too scary, can we do something else? Those are appropriate choices because those are things we can offer to children and adults even. I remember I worked with a teen over on the adult side the other day, and they didn't want to get their IV flushed, right? So that's like putting the water through the catheter. And he was like, because I taste it. And I was like, all right, why don't we give you like a Jolly Rancher or give you something that you can like taste during it while we're doing it? He's like, oh, that's great. And he was like, I still am not doing it. And the nurse was like, all right, I'll come back. I was like, no. This is something we have to do. But why don't we talk about things we can do while we're getting it done to make it better? So he was like, well, I love watching YouTube. So he pulled out his phone. We watched YouTube. I asked him questions during the YouTube thing to really keep him distracted. And then he was able to get it done. And the next time the nurse was like, oh, I should do this with my adults. I should ask them if they want to go to the bathroom first or do they want their IV done first? Do they want it? I was like, yeah, those simple choices, you're still getting the things done that you need for your medical care, but you're getting it away where you're like coping through it and you feel in control. When you're in a hospital setting, the patients don't always have control. So giving them the little pieces of control with choices, it allows them to be more cooperative in care, which makes it easier for all of us to do our jobs.
For the people who are watching the video version of this on YouTube, we've got a number of items in front of you on the table here. I'm assuming these are some of the tools you use to help the kids through these situations. Can you give us a little insight into what you do and what these are?
Yeah. So this one item that we have is actually an MRI machine. So it's a Lego kit that we created. One of the kids helped me make it. And it has doctors and it has their mom and dad and it has the entire MRI machine where you can open it up and it actually spins so that you can see the inside of the scanner. So it shows kids how they're going to position, what it's going to do. And as we know, an MRI is a really large camera, right? So it makes really large noises. And I have an app that shows the exact noises of our MRI machine so that the kids can hear it too before they go in. And the Lego guy actually can go back in to the scanner and come out. So it kind of shows how they'll be. And he has like a little helmet, which is where like the coil, which is like a fancy word for a kid, so he doesn't know what that is. We call it a football helmet. And it's a coil, and all that does is focuses the photos on the brain and on the head. So we would show him this, and then a lot of kids are like, oh, cool, this is like being an astronaut. And you're like, yeah. And so you get to physically see where they are. It also helps because in an MRI, unlike a CT scan, CT, we can show where the parents will be. So we'll like put a Lego guy over here and say, this is CT scan and this is mom and dad can be right there and they can play your favorite video. While you're getting it done, you just have to still like stay still like a statue. But for an MRI, you can't have the parents inside the room. So it kind of shows here too that the mom and dad or brother will be sitting outside. And there will be a doctor and a person always watching you through a window. So it also incorporates our team and our resources that we have at ChristianaCare because it shows the kids that they're like never alone, but that maybe mom and dad won't be there. They're able to play with it, move it around, and it just normalizes it and makes it seem like maybe it's going to be a little fun. Can we make it a little fun? All these things are hard and they're different, but it allows kids to kind of play and enjoy doing it. And then, I mean, who doesn't like Legos?
And I love that you got some of the kids to actually help build that thing for you.
Yeah, and another thing is a stuffed animal. Parents are always bringing stuffed animals in, or kids are bringing them in because that's their comfort item. This is a little guy. He's a slumberkin. That's a wonderful company that just talks about feelings. But for this guy, I put like an IV in. So you can put the catheter in, put the straw in. They can play with it. They can actually... What we like to do is hand over hand needle play. So kids that hate needles, showing that the needle goes in, but that we click a button, it comes out. And then there's just a flexi straw. And it's not only the kids that are learning, because I have so many families and parents that have like aha moments of, wait, the needle comes out. I didn't know the needle comes out. And it's like, yeah.
One of them, yes.
Yes, I was going to say that too. Yeah.
And it shows them. And then they're like, oh, yeah, because you put like saline and water and medicine through it. So it needs to be not a needle so it can thread. I was like, yes, it's a straw. So it kind of teaches the whole family. And it's great seeing like those aha moments of both the patient and the family.
You're doing a fair amount of work also with the neonatal intensive care unit, which, let's face it, those patients, you're not really going to be able to do those tricks or reason with them. So I'm assuming in that case, it's more about working with the family to help them through these situations?
Yeah. So that's where I really work towards like family-centered care, which I think a lot of hospitals like to focus on. And it's true because the more you have the families involved in care of their children, the easier it is for everybody. So I work a lot with the siblings. We do a group activity every Thursday, and we get all the siblings to come to the Ronald McDonald House, which is in ChristianaCare's like third floor, right in the front. It's a beautiful building. Part of the building that we're able to do all of this work with them. So the siblings are not able to go to bedside, but what can we do so that there's the connection between the siblings? As we know, like kids are so excited when a baby's coming home. But if a baby isn't coming home right away, how can we make it easier for everyone and help them make it not the hospital's keeping them and they're not bringing them back? Because then maybe they're scared of hospitals then. So we're putting that negative connotation onto them that we don't want to do. So we bring them to the Ronald McDonald House. We do arts and crafts. We play with them. We make it like normalizing an environment that's usually scary. And then we're also doing a lot of like medical prep for them. So they're FaceTiming their babies and they're seeing an NG tube and they're seeing an IV or they're seeing a breathing tube down the baby's throat. And that seems really scary. So we take medical dolls and we do different things with them and manipulate them so that they can be like, oh, that baby doll looks like my little baby. And then all of the siblings are able to talk together to be like, oh, my baby has that too. My baby has that. Or my baby got that little nasal thing in their nose taken out. And so it really brings those conversations and the parents see it and the parents love it. They think like, wow, this is great because now they're not scared when the baby does have to come home with something. Or they know, let's say a baby comes home with an NG tube. They know not to touch the tube, not to take out the tube because we're playing with the baby doll and making sure that they know not to touch it.
You mentioned your work on the adult side as well. Obviously, the Center for Women's and Children's Health is just a part of ChristianaCare. Talk to us a little bit about that work that you do for these kids who may be on the other side of the hospital with a family member who isn't doing well.
Kids don't only get sick, right? Adults get sick. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, best friends, parents, things like that. And it's really hard when your parent or your grandparent's in the hospital because you're like, they're the person that takes care of me. So a lot of times I get referred over to the adult side for either a parent that had like a traumatic event. We had a dad that went quadriplegic and like they were going to go home and not walk. And so how can we talk to the younger their son about what's going to happen to them? Like when they come back, what are they going to look like? Why is he hooked up with all the machines? Why is he going to be in a wheelchair? And having those conversations earlier than later just provides them the time to adapt to it, to ask the questions, to be able to be like, what's that? What's this? What's that? And like have honest conversations about it. Kids know more than you'll ever know. And they don't always bring that up, but at times they will ask the questions and they hear the conversations behind the doors that we think that they don't hear. And so I also get referred over at like end of life. So if a parent or a grandparent, aunt, uncle, anyone is passing away and there's young kids and they want them to visit to say goodbye, we allow that at ChristianaCare now. They allow me to go up with them, talk to them about death and dying. It is a thing that nobody wants to talk about, but it happens to all of us. It happens to everyone because at the end, we're all going to die. So how do we talk about that with kids and talk about that accidents happen or, you know, a heart attack happens or something happens that makes them really sick? How can we teach these kids coping mechanisms with grieving? It's not easy for adults, so it's definitely not easy for kids. And we've had a lot of families come back and be like, it started the grieving process. It helped us be able to come together, talk about memories, talk about things that were so important to that person. We do a lot of memory making now at bedside, which is really great. So we can do like handprints and footprints, make bracelets. I did a bracelet with a kid and then it was left with their mom. So the mom, we put the bracelet on, they had a matching one and now they have that bracelet forever. Whether that goes in the casket or it goes home and gets put somewhere, the mom's bracelet's there too. So they have a piece. It's connecting these families to really hard situations, but connecting them together. When we weren't able to bring them to bedside, there was that piece that was missing to say goodbye. And we don't want anyone to resent anyone for not given that choice. It's hard, it's difficult, but kids, like I said, know more. So they see their parents crying. They have to know it's okay to cry too. I always use the phrase crying is coping. And I say that for the kids on the pediatric unit when we're doing an IV. And I say it to the parents that are like, I don't want them to see them because they're going to cry. Well, we're all crying. We're grieving. Death is sad. But how can we say goodbye and talk about ways that'll make it easier after it all? Like, how are we still connected to them? Do you have a faith? Do you believe they're somewhere else? Do you believe there's a spirit? Do all those kind of conversations that maybe you haven't had with your kids yet, because why would you? Someone hasn't died yet. And so it just really helps support them in that moment. And it makes a beautiful thing because when we were doing handprints with this one grandmother, they were like, oh, God, look at her nails. She always has her nails done. She would be so mad right now. And everyone got to laugh. So it also can be that like emotional piece that brings everyone together and talks about these memories that, you know, that even during death, we can all talk about.
So I very much understand what you said at the very beginning of no day is the same for you. You're covering many different avenues here, which makes this question a little broad. But what message would you have for families who may have not had to deal with this yet, but probably somewhere down the line they may have to? Do you have a message you'd like to share with those families?
Yeah, reach out, ask for child life. There was a family that literally had a grandmother passing away and she was like, I work at a hospital and there's a child life specialist. Do you guys have one? My manager was like, yes, yeah, she'll be right over. So advocate. We all have to advocate for ourselves in healthcare and because our nurses, doctors, me, EVS, everybody in the hospital is advocating for you as well, but you got to be your own advocate too. I tell kids all the time, like advocate for sitting on a lap or sitting on a bed, whatever makes you more comfortable, advocate for it. So I would just say, reach out to us. Child life specialists are everywhere. People don't know it, but they're there. It's a job that is so near and dear to my heart and I love it so much. And Christiana, I'm the first child life specialist, but hopefully not the last. And there's a lot of hospitals that have a lot of us. So ask.
And this all feels very heavy. I can't imagine how it is you do what you do every day and not get overwhelmed with it. What is this for you and how do you cope with the weight of what you're dealing with daily?
Yeah, I'm a huge live music person. I love music. So whenever I need a day, I listen to music. I find a new artist. I do things like that. I take my walks. I have a dog who I go out with and snuggle and walk with her, because the people around you are the things that help you cope. I also am someone that during medical procedures, I learned at a young age, people would try to like move my head so that I didn't look at it or try to hide me behind something. And I'm a control person. I need control. So I need to watch. So when I get my blood work now, when I donate blood and do all of that, I watch. I need to watch the entire time. They're always like, you can look away. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. I'll watch. So I think I've found my coping things through my profession, which I think is really great. And I know my family, whenever we go through a death or something like that, they're always like, they come to me and I help them. And then I remember the one time I had to get pictures of my uncle, and I went to go get the pictures and I cried at the place that had the pictures, because I was like, all right, this is my time. So just finding that time, whether it's crying by yourself, with the person you love, holding someone's hand, all the things that I teach the kids, that's the way that I cope.
If someone wants to support you, they're thinking right now, I have Legos that can make an MRI or, whatever the case may be. I know you often also do baskets for families in the NICU. How can someone get in contact, and what are those types of items that would benefit you?
We have a gift fund. That's wonderful. If you want to do a monetary thing, that is on our website, and you go to the gift fund and you drag down to Child Life Program, or you can email me at shannon.taylor@ChristianaCare.org. We take lots of donations. I can only do my job because of donations. This makes my job so much easier. I'm able to bring items in, and if it really works, I'm able to give it to the kid to take home. That's like the most important thing. Parents, as simple as like an I Spy book. We do I Spies all the time when we're doing IVs because it blocks the view, or when we're doing stitches because then it totally makes it so they can't see it. And those things are so helpful, but can I give them an I Spy book to take home so that when they have to go to their outpatient lab or they have to go somewhere where Child Life isn't, and they bring that item with them and know that that can help them cope. So I appreciate all of our donors. We have so many wonderful ones that give us wonderful things, but please, if you feel giving, we love it. And the patients and families, we all know we'll be in that situation where we have a kid that's there, or we have a relative that's there and needs a little extra something. So we all know that giving is giving to everybody.
Shannon, thank you so much for all that you do and spending time with us today. And I have to tell you, I am very impressed with this Lego build, and I'm sure many kids appreciate it as well.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Check out the show notes for more information about the Child Life Specialist at ChristianaCare.
And you can always keep up with For the Love of Health on social media. Just search ChristianaCare on your favorite platform.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with another great conversation.
Until then, thanks for joining us for the Love of Health.